This week, our search finds DoD gives out $200 million in contracts to the four big foundational AI companies. Nvidia is back in the H20 game or the H20 game, as it looks to make 5 to 15 billion from the low-end AI chip. AI-powered labs increased output for materials research by 10x. It is July 16th, 2025. It's episode 508. And today we have Beth and Andy, and I am Jimmy. And this is the Daily AI Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live stream, and to all of you who are watching just a little later. If you haven't already, click the bell, like, subscribe, and join the newsletter at thedailyAIshow.com. Okay, so let us start off with a quick story from the fine folks at Mistral. They have released Voxel. Voxel is their new voice model. So they are now offering a high quality voice model for the public. Voxel will transcribe 30 minutes or understand 40 minutes of a single audio stream. And it's nice to see that we will get some open source access from the Mistral folks, and I'm sure there is plenty of models to pit it against in the arena when it comes to voice-based or text-to-voice, or voice-to-text, I should say, or speech-to-voice kind of things. Alrighty, cool. So we start off with a quick story. I wanted to ask both Beth and Andy, what is a story that at the top of your list for today?
Well,
Not necessarily a weave.
I need to weave off the model story.
Oh, perfect.
So Mistral's released a new model, and I want to talk about the open source models that are advancing now. In this past week, the open source community saw a major release from Moonshot AI, which is one of the major Chinese companies that are basically releasing everything, at least everything that we know of, frontier models as open source. DeepSeek made a big splash by doing that last year. And what's that earlier this year? Things are moving too fast. You've got also Baidu and Alibaba, those companies as well. But Moonshot released Kimi 2. It's a 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts model that activates only 32 billion of the most relevant parameters at any one time. But that's 32 billion is nonetheless a big component of a 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts model. It's built for agentic tasks, and it used some advanced training, including 15 trillion tokens in its pre-training. And the important point here is that it included simulated multi-step tool interactions in the training. So that is focused on creating agentic capabilities in the native model. And the result of that is that this new model that just came out excels on benchmarks that require this kind of thinking process and access to multiple tools and iterative use of those. And it does so without needing the test time compute or thinking time hack that many other models do, because it's been trained to do it in its core. So open source is really getting to the point where it's equal to, and in some cases surpassing the capabilities of the major frontier models, and especially.
Yeah,
Which is
I was excited when I saw that. Yeah, it's another big one to start basing projects off. So we'll see what kind of splash that makes. But I have a feeling that that's probably going to be the basis for quite a few projects, at least a couple of wrapper projects. Yeah, that sounds great.
Beth, you're muted.
You muted.
So, it's good that that Kimi has come out. Perplexity has announced on X that they're working with it and that it should be coming to Perplexity soon. I suspect the same way that they worked with um, DeepSeek One, DeepSeek R1. Yes. Um, and that became 1776 in Perplexity. I suspect Kimi will go through a similar process and be available on Perplexity as well. Perplexity has launched Comet, and a little bit of personal news. If you have been assuming that Comet costs $200 because people are talking about Comet and $200, those are not related. You can get Comet right away if you sign up for the Max program, which is $200. That's that connection. But actually, it's not a $200 subscription. And if you're on the waiting list, if you sign up for the waiting list, go check because I realized that I have access to Comet and I did not open it because I was like, I don't want to pay 200 right now. So that's that. And yeah, I will stop there. That's exciting. And I do have another story after that, but let's keep going. Jumi, what do you got?
Well, to continue the weave in the model front, a little more tangentially, um, there was a position paper published on Tuesday that gathered researchers from OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Anthropic, and basically a broad coalition of people and various companies and groups. And the position paper really is it's called Chain of Thought Monitorability, a new and fragile opportunity for AI safety. And essentially, it goes to explain that using chain of thought and having reasoning steps as part of any model execution is important so that you can monitor how a model is developing as you develop the model, what kind of responses, seeing its reasoning or thinking, if you will. And this is very important, especially with more and more agent or agentic type features and builds that people are going to be doing. And so this paper is basically, hey, just saying, hey, everybody, let's make sure we keep this monitoring feature that we use to help keep a track of how AI are making decisions and choosing things. And this all kind of goes to the larger concept of AI alignment and things like that. So I found it interesting that pretty much on the cusp of the wave of agentic things that are coming out. We're just seeing more and more of it roll out by mid of this year. It's only going to get faster and even bigger as we go on. That a large group of AI engineers and developers and companies behind it are saying, make sure you keep this piece in. Make sure that any development keeps this part of the process. A lot of times, to gain or keep momentum in any project, you're looking for ways to make it more efficient, and usually the safety features are the first thing to go on any
Mhm.
project. So something to keep a track of.
Yeah.
I have a mini weave off of that, just the whole, idea well, maybe it's not so directly related, but it's on models still, and the question of whether open source or closed proprietary models are going to be the path forward. Uh, Meta and the Llama series of models were the sort of the OG, let's release the major investment that we've made in these models and make the weights available for anybody to play with. And in fact, it was the release of those weights through Llama that became the foundation for DeepSeek's tuning and development of their own models. So they started with the Llama base, if you will, and then advanced that. And the DeepSeek models are basically a child several generations later of the grandfather llama. Well, you've heard about all of the concerns that the llama line and llama 4 particularly did not meet the necessary benchmarks and or qualities that should reflect the incredible investment they made in compute and pre-training data. And so as a result of that, Meta's whole development pipeline came into question, and that's what triggered Meta's poaching of an incredible retinue now of major players from the other companies and violated a kind of a unwritten code in the world of AI that you don't go steal the major, leaders of another company. But, that's what's happening. And it's a big high stakes game. Well, that poaching resulted in the delivery of the new uh, unit within Meta called Superintelligence Labs.
Mhm.
Okay. And last year, Mark Zuckerberg said, we're very open source pro, right? We, done that, and that's been our strategy, but I haven't committed to releasing every single thing we do. Well, now the Superintelligence Lab and some people familiar with the discussions that are going on inside there have stalled development and release of the behemoth large model that was underway as an open source project to follow on Llama 4. And they're discussing the development of a closed model. And that's a reflection of the increasing competition. And I think the threat that has been created by releasing releasing the major models that Meta has done through the Llama open source line and empowering the Chinese further development of those, and that comes back at them as competition. So
Mhm.
that's the competitive landscape we're dealing with right now. Looks like Llama is considering, and Meta overall and Superintelligence Labs are considering closing the door.
Mm. Which is interesting because along those lines, um, Sam Altman on his Twitter feed basically said, "Oh, we're pushing back our open source version as well," which will be the second time that they've announced that. He says it's for safety testing and things like that, and that's things that we definitely want to hear that they're taking those extra steps. But I'm not exactly sure if that's the only reason why they're doing it.
Right. Uh, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Carl's joined us. Thank you for hopping on, Carl. Beth, what do you got?
So, to stick with Meta for a little bit longer, they acquired a high-level voice company that we've talked about before, which is Play.ai. And the push that Andy was talking about to move away from open source is actually coming from the new people that they brought in, right? So, actually, Charlie Wang, I could have that name totally wrong, but he was the Andy, you're muted, but I'm sure you're correcting my pronunciation or name.
Alexander Wang.
Alexander Wang, thank you, who came from Scale, right? And is sort of the head of that lab. He has been very outspoken about wanting to move away from the open source models. Now, the actual reason they're in open source models uh, did seem to be less that Jan LeCun and Mark Zuckerberg found a kinship between them, but a little bit more. Mark Zuckerberg really wanted Jan LeCun, and Jan said, "Okay, these are the things that I'm interested in," because he was interested in the open source model. And what this seems to be setting up is a little bit of a tension, uh, not a tension, but a tension that is happening within the two people, and probably there are more than two, but what is Meta's like personality in the AI space, and it seems to be shifting a little bit. They also came out with information about their plans to build a bajillion new data centers that have a bajillion kilowatts. Um, one is almost as big as Manhattan, which somehow AI news got like Meta is building something in Manhattan. I'm like, no, because that's very wrong. I mean, they have money to burn, but that's not going to be what's happening there. And they have suggested or put out the kind of bold statement that the researchers who work at Meta will have a greater compute budget than anywhere else. Now, I don't know that's anywhere else than Saudi Arabia or the folks who were like, "No, come here. We're like doing amazing things." But definitely in the big four that they compete with, that seems to be happening. So that's my continuation weave on Meta.
Well, I mean, it's important to note, like you said about those new data centers. Like one of the ones that they're looking to build is equivalent to 5 gigawatt of power usage.
And is that Hyperion? Like they've
Yeah,
given them all
that's
very
that's the
cool.
Hyperion project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, they already have one project that's I think it's about to come online, and they call that Prometheus.
Yes.
And that's a 1 gigawatt project. And so when they make the claims that yes, they'll have the biggest compute budget, it's quite easy to see if this is what they're building. These are increasing projects, and that falls in line with what the contracts that all of them recently got
Right.
from Department of Defense. They all the big four foundational AI firms got 200 million from Department of the DoD to develop and progress on technologies for defensive contracts. That's essentially what they're part of the the military industrial complex now, which, we all kind of saw was eventually gonna happen because AI is gonna touch on everything.
And does it not I feel like I've been inoculated now in terms of money terms. It's like 200,000,000, man. I mean, did you do anything for the 200,000,000?
Well, that's the other thing, right?
200,000,000 is significant.
Yeah, it's a significant amount of money, and it might sound like it's like you said, inoculated. "Oh, that's just a drop in the bucket." It's like, no, it's not a drop in the bucket. All right. Millions of dollars are not drops in the bucket. It's essentially when it comes to military contracts, there's a lot of wiggle room in terms of how you line item things. So, this could be interpreted in a number of ways. But it could just be here's $200 million slush fund, make something, and then give us a product that we can use. Kind of doing a reverse DARPA over here.
Right.
But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that progression is, and I'm sure there's a lot of validation coming out for people. Um, and so but I wanted to transition over to Carl and see what Carl's, story of the day is.
Have you talked about Claude's connectors yet?
No, go for it.
Um, so, uh, I think it was kind of little bit under the radar where a lot of, not very many people have spoken on it, but it's a pretty significant thing if you've actually used Claude MCP, Claude connectors, because they actually have the ability now. I actually wrote a post about this like yesterday, or had a video about it. So I'm going to share just a little bit on what you can actually do in the desktop and on the web app too. And as you can see here, I have a couple MCPs connected to mine, but this was like actually I had to go to the config and add it. So GA firecrawls in there, Docker disabled it, but you have a couple new ones, which is kind of neat. Now I'm facing a little bit of the hey, like there's a big load on Claude this morning, so I can't some of the stuff I can't do. But for the connectors for the web app, you have stuff that they these are native, so Asana, Atlassian, Canva, Cloudflare, Gmail, Intercom, like some of these. But if you have the desktop app, you have some really neat things. So I loved this one. Let Claude access your file system to read and write files in locally. So it can just go into whatever files I deem it if I want it, right? So it's like, oh, I want to configure this, and then I want to add specific file systems. So right now I'm just using my like 0 to 60, but I can literally have it access anything I want inside my computer, which is kind of neat and actually works. Another thing that you could do, connectors, is uh, on the desktop app, you have what's called, and it's clunky, but it's kind of interesting, controlling my Mac. So I could turn on, turn off applications, go into terminal. Not sure what the all exact use case is, but it's fun to play around with it too. And then obviously read and send iMessages, which is kind of neat. You could control your Chrome browser, but I'm like, I haven't really thought of what I want to do with that. But what's kind of neat is I can start piggybacking stuff on top of it. So because I already have the Zapier MCP, plus I have, there's a candle like iMessage and then analytics and like you can start piecing together. So for one client, we started piecing together some of the systems that they're using and enabled their team through Claude to just be able to, you know, exactly what I was talking about an agent can do, right? Hey, go to my Outlook, do this, do this, do this, do this. Or as it gets smarter, hey, I just want you to uh, create me a budget doc. This is the kind of, go into my files, remember that, like, analyze the last 3 years, do analysis here, give me a presentation, and then, hey, could you send me an email? Oh, could you send someone an email, give the summary to it, right? So you can control more and more of your features into the Claude desktop app or the web app. But you have to pay, like you have to be a subscriber. Yeah.
So just to clarify some of the broad points, one, this is for their paid account. Is it for their base one
Base.
or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so the base one. And they just came out with even more connectors. Is that the big to all the services?
Yeah, they have a directory, right? So they never had a directory. So you were just like, oh, I think it's a Claude MCP directory. Just have to find it, I guess. Um,
And
Claude.ai/directory is the one to their characters. And there is also a partners/MCP. Those are two different
Yeah.
pages.
and so just so that we're clear, this is accessible both on their web interface as well as their desktop app.
there are some things that you can only use on the desktop. Like
Okay.
the desktop, like can obviously use both, but then on the web app, you can't use some of these things.
Right. It's not
I'm assuming like computer control and things like that.
Correct.
and your personal local files, right? It's not saying, "Ooh, guess what? We've exposed your local files for you to the entire internet. Aren't you happy?"
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to get to on that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's really neat though is you still can build these connectors yourself, right? So obviously, like Firecrawl analytics, um, are things that they don't have native, so you can still add them. Adding them though, there's a bunch of stuff that's kind of a pain to add. So if you want to add like the ones that they have in their directory, you can just install, like literally press install, it'll automatically install. The other things like a fire crawl, you actually have to put in the config. It's not hard to do, but there's certain things, you know, if people don't want to go into the config and mess around with other MCPs and test them out, there's that too. Well, let's see. Let's actually, what I was trying to do was like, hey, I want you to here's one. Go into my Emerald property management file and find the discovery session with property managers. Okay, so this is connected to my my 0 to 60 like shared folders, and so and that's what I've been getting this morning is that. Now, obviously, if I go to Pro or Max, maybe I won't, but yesterday it was working quite well.
So there are limitations. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that sounds like there's plenty in there to maybe do a demo live episode at some point, Carl.
Yeah, no, we can totally do. But I think like what I think when I was showing this to a couple people, I think it didn't kind of click until I showed something like, okay, this. So this is, you know, just a really simple example of I want you to go into my analytics, figure out the highlights. I don't know what the highlights are, create a summary with key points, then create an interactive presentation on it, create me an email draft summary. I'll look like once you start being able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like task on task on task inside just one large language model, then you can kind of start seeing where like the beginnings of true agent like deployment. Because now essentially Claude has become my agent to do multiple things. So it gave me a draft in my Outlook, which is connected through Zapier, and then also Slack is connected through Zapier too, and it gave me a message on Slack, right? So it can do like what I'm trying to get our clients to think about is the connections between, hey, you have like 20 of these SaaS applications, but imagine one AI to, you know, connect them. I was about to say one ring to rule them all, which is that would be
That sounds like a popular reference that everyone will get, Carl. I think that's perfectly fine. All right, so let's move on to the next story. Andy or Beth, you got do you have your fiery passion story that you want to talk about?
I do, because Runway dropped Act 2. Act 1 was the performance-driven model that let you record your performance and then basically use it. It seems like AI puppetry to me, right? So or a skinning, right? So I can do a performance that I record, and then I can have a character, and then the character is now emoting the way that I emoted. And that emphasized face, right? So you couldn't really use your hands and do things. Act 2 is gestures, all kinds of things. And let's see if I can share this. Oh, share. Nope, that's not what I want. I want. Where are you? There you are. So we'll just grab this for a second and
Act 2.
No. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. But
Oh, really? Like,
And then
These here are my favorite beats. Best brand. What's going on here?
And
yeah.
get the call from Doc. He was upset.
is
Already saw the shit.
so what we're seeing here, if you're not watching, is a series of very articulated facial or and then movements that have been accomplished by AI motion. which is a real advance in AI.
Aaron in the bathroom comes like, Jeremy, help.
AI's advancement of motion capture, which used to require that you put little dots on all of your body parts at the joints in order to get a picture of that.
Right.
So
So
this is
one of
really
the things
incredible.
one of the things that stands out in this is not just the variety of characters that you can embody now, but also like there's a dog that got speaking things. There's I don't know, maybe a I don't know what the other thing was, a lemur monkey maybe or something like that. So photorealistic animals, major gestures, right? So if we were doing this on me now, I'm gesturing with my hands quite a lot. You'd see that in the image. It is out right now for enterprise and creative partners, but it is being released soon. And when Runway says it's rolling out soon, it generally happens within 2 to 4 weeks. Like, they're pretty good about actually rolling it out, and it may be much sooner. But this, for me, is very exciting. So if you are a performer,
Yeah.
you
The
like
advance here the advance here is the capture of subtle facial expressions, upper body movements, and the hands.
Yep,
So all of that means that you can animate any kind of fantasy character that can be generated by AI video. But now the AI doesn't have to generate all the movements and try to respect the physics because you can do video motion capture and it's going to translate that into this character and you can capture that and hold it. And so basically it's a great new toy where you can act out anything
right.
and have those characters that you created, performing on the video exactly as you did in your movements and facial expressions.
Right,
Right.
and the animation generate animation with a consistent character is also getting really good, right? So you could put 2 systems together and generate the sort of wide shot, right? Like, the dog is running across the fields to grab something, and now you have a close-up, and the dog is gonna respond to what it, like, thought it was grabbing, and now it's fake or whatever, right? Like, you can do the wide shot in a different system and then come in to act 2 and be the dog, like, "I ran all the way for that," right? Like, "What is going on?" Something like that, and then you would be able to get that kind of emotive performance and then move it back again. This so exciting. What is happening is so exciting. That's
Yeah.
my passion.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm with you on this because this is a additional component for well, if we just want to do narrative storytelling, right, or filmmaking, is and he's right. You don't need mocap anymore. They're already building towards the consistent character, like you mentioned. But what's nice about this puzzle piece is now you have bidirectional development, right? So whether you start with something in the real world and move it towards AI generation or visualization, or if you're taking from that visualization and moving it back into the real world. So I am seeing this progression into the various layers that are applied to any modern film, right? We've seen virtual backgrounds, right, using things like the volume, but now here's this mocap option. We've seen how we've entered into this VFX layer, and so now you can really composite a full, a full clip or a full, scene. You can composite each of those layers there and just lay them on top of each other, forming a really rich, image. And that's probably where I would go with it, is just to see how I could layer, each of the pieces and just focus on whatever that layer for each, each technology. So Runway for, for this mocap, maybe something like Hailu or what's the other one I was saying? The Huan Gen model that does the 2D to 3D stuff, and just adding more and more elements without having to create an entire scene out of nothing. You can put in what you want, especially if you want to place it in the real world. So that'll be some interesting development there. And I already saw an example in that clip of a project that I wanted to do for something else with a couple of buddies. So I will definitely be getting my hands on that.
Yeah, Beth, how much is this gonna cost us to do that kind of work?
Oh,
Well,
It would
let's
cost
start with
enterprise money to do it now, but once it rolls out, you can, it will be available to everyone in the same way that Act 1 is available to everyone. I think with my subscription, I have, I don't know, 4 hours of Act 1 that I could do, or maybe less than that, maybe it's 1 hour of Act 1. But, it's probably 1 hour because you could do it in 30-second increments, so I think I have a ton. That's why, because it's a multiple of 30-second. But yes, there's also Jumi's gonna say, I think, are you gonna say the best thing about Runway subscriptions?
Oh, yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say, is, they still have that $99, unlimited unlimited, um, uh, level of a package, because, it's lower quality, but the main thing you gotta take away for any of these kind of tools is, it requires lots of iterations, right? You're not gonna knock it out of the park with, just 4 generations.
Right. Yeah. And, Gareth is talking a little bit in the chat as well. Um, yes, and the other thing about Runway has gotten much better in likeness. They've done an upgrade. If you saw Andy's terrified face, in the Sci-Fi Asho thumbnail for the last episode, that, was the most exact that I've been able to get of Andy. It likes Jumi's face, but doesn't like Andy's and mine, so it doesn't do the exactness, but it's getting better. Woohoo!
All right. So let's do a shift here, and let's move on to some hardware news. Um, Big win for Nvidia. The administration has finally said, "Oh, you can sell chips again to anyone you want, as long as they're these lower end chips." So the H20s are going back out. So if you're part of any acquisition, um, or hardware acquisition part of your company, you can now buy the H20 chips, which they're estimating is anywhere from $5 to $15 billion worth of revenue. So a little bit of a stopgap happened there. They found out that it really didn't work, and so I'm assuming that's the reason why they can now sell it.
and in response to that news, the stock markets have allowed Nvidia to shoot up to record highs. It's over $4 trillion in value now. And for those of you who are tracking the stock price, it had when those restrictions had been imposed and there were lots of other concerns in the market, it had dropped down below $100. And today it's at 170.
Yeah, that was a big jump. And I think a related story in that is, and Andy, you might have more information on this, but I saw a headline where it said that the investments in AI startups and just in the AI field jumped up to 167 or 168 $1 billion for 2025. But so very large numbers that we're talking about here. Okay. Well, I've got a slew of AI and science stories that I definitely want to go through, but I want to give everybody a chance to bring up their story of fiery passion before I do so. No? Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna go. Oh wait, you have one, Carl? Sorry.
Just a small one. And this is more on the IDE space. I don't know if you covered where Amazon launched their own IDE, which is I downloaded it and it's free to use for now. And you can so it's still a fork of VSC, um, kind of like Cursor, but it's supposed to be designed for purely vibe, like to actually take you through a development process step by step by step. So if anyone
It's for
has,
no coders?
it's if that's what Amazon is looking for. So I just first thing I did is like, yeah, I'm gonna put Claude code in there, and then but I haven't even tested it. So if it's something new that you want to pull out, play with, and you don't have to pay for it for now. It's there for you.
And what's it called? What's the name? I
It's
think I
called
missed it.
Hero. Hero.dev.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
can use Amazon.
that sounds like another live vibe coding segment, Carl. Just saying, more content. And you wanted to bring up something?
Yeah, I have a quickie too. Those of you who are, real advocates of and aficionados of NotebookLM, there's an exciting development with NotebookLM, which is called featured notebooks. And this is Google building source collections for you around certain topics. So instead of you having to upload individual sources and create your own collection of sources in order to have this assistant be able to generate a podcast about that or create briefing documents or study notes, that sort of thing, or talk to it, chat with NotebookLM about those sources. Now you have a wide range and probably growing range of world knowledge that's from curated sources from either institutions like Harvard or from individual researchers who have said, okay, here's, if you want to know everything about epidemiology, here's my collection of the important research that will be up to date. You can just ask my NotebookLM about that. So one of them is, for example, the ones that were put up there, longevity advice from Eric Topol, the best-selling author of Superagers. So put all of his content together into a single thing that you can just select now. Uh, an advice notebook based on how to build a life, columns in the Atlantic. Okay, so the Atlantic has offered some of their content up as a featured notebook. Science-backed parenting advice from Professor Jacqueline Nessie's popular Substack newsletter. So a collection of lots of Substack newsletters. You don't have to go and make the subscription anymore. You can go right on to NotebookLM, select that source set, and then you have access to all the knowledge that's built into all of those documents.
Did Google say that they're gonna be rolling this out to other users so you could submit or allow your NotebookLM to be added to the features list?
You can
I think that'd be
apply.
a fun.
You
You
can
can
apply to be an expert.
Oh, nice. Nice, I like that. Um, I don't know if I should say this idea, but, I mean, NotebookLM is so popular, and it's a great way to get information, and really dive in because it's very interactive. Maybe this is a replacement for all those, LinkedIn articles, and pages and things like that. Gauntlet thrown. See what you got, LinkedIn. Okay. Before I dive into AI and science, Beth, you got another story that you wanna make sure to cover?
No, my passion was Act 2. Super
Oh,
excited.
gotcha. Okay, so everyone, it's time for AI and science. All right. So a lot of this AI and science stories are relatively straightforward, but these are all quick wins or at least indicators, I think, of progressive movement into how AI and science is going to help save people and hopefully the world. Number one, opening up with how an AI model enhances breast MRI tumor detection accuracy. That's a big story. So, what the study did was they found that different densities of breast can mask tumors. So they engaged and built an AI model that would help detect some of those anomalies or those types of situations, uh, because current models or older models kind of got this 50-50 kind of response when it was scanning through, and that wasn't the kind of expected result. So this group went in and designed a model that would, based off of MRI readings, looking for breast cancer, and was able to increase that percentage by a great much. So um, we're talking by, I think, 42 or 43%. Still not, we all want to see like 90s and 100s in any form of detection. But this is a great move towards using AI to enhance the accuracy and the monitoring of any kind of progression or identifying any form of cancers and things like that. So, big win in there. Also, we have we have something that I mentioned at the top of the show, which is AI powered labs, self-running labs, and this is in the material science thing. So lots of chemical combinations and just trying to develop um, improvements or efficiencies in different types of material science. This is what gets us. Oh, this thing should be made this way, or we've come up with a new material that's better, doesn't have, forever chemicals leaching out of it. This is safer, healthier, those kinds of things. And what happens is these labs are kind of running running kind of static, right? There's established, you do this, then this, then this, and you have to wait for the results of each step before you move forward, and you can really run one step at a time. But now that they have these dynamic self-driving laboratories, and they're essentially robotic platforms that allow you to run your chemical tests, right? Your materials tests to see whatever your range of goals and data points that you're trying to collect. So essentially, this AI model can do it in more dynamic fashion, so you don't have to wait for each individual test to complete each step and complete the overall your overall hypothesis or your overall, chemical combination. You can run multiple tests. You can run them at different stages because it's the AI model is able to plan out and monitor and move forward with each piece of the test it needs to at the right time. So what they're seeing is a 10x improvement on results, on data points that they're getting. So this is just going to make material science run even faster and get us better results and hopefully better materials and applications as we go. And then finally, let's talk about AI for good. So we mentioned this a while back. Was a while back. It was probably 2 weeks ago. The AI for Good conference that's happening now, right? I think it's a 2-week conference, happening in the EU where they're just bringing everybody in together to talk about how we can move forward on AI for good. What are AI for good projects? How can we use AI for the good of humanity? These kinds of things. And this is a wide range of all kinds of experts and companies and organizations and all those kinds of things. And the general the general gist that people are getting from all of the speakers and ideas is uh, everyone's saying let's slow down just a little bit so that we can catch up. it's moving so quickly. We can't put in all of the safeguards that we're kind of looking at. But the story that I wanted to highlight from the conference is there is a panel with two um, two really revolutionary. I know I don't game changing these kinds of words, but these two individuals are kind of living at the bleeding edge of AI for science, and that is there's this one 19-year-old who's been who's needed prosthetic limbs since she's been a child, since she was 9 years old, and now that she's been working with a company, a group that's been developing better and better versions of prosthetics for her, and uh, and one of the things her newest prosthetics are is um, it's it's like the top of the line. It's broken all of the possible records that for prosthesis. It's the fastest of the prostheses. So it can have 30 different grip combinations, right? And these are her 2 hands, her 2 arms, really. And uh, and it's the strongest prosthesis that's been out. And it's completely waterproof, right? And back again, and it's completely with a simulated silicone skin and everything like that too. So, uh, she's got robot hands, and they're fantastic. In fact, let me see if I can share the screen a second, because this picture um, is great. So let me pull that up real quick. Did I stop it? Oops. Oh, there we go. It did not come up for me. Okay, so this is the person, Lily. And so her 2 hands have different 30 different grip combinations. Like I said, it's stylish and can be modified to promote your own personality and things like that. It's waterproof. So, I mean, she can do pretty much anything that she wants with them now. And this is a great mile marker for prosthesis and, essentially cybernetics in that field, because of AI design and implementation for those hands. Now, the next person's is great because this gentleman right here, or here, sorry, my mouse is not lining up right. There we go. Right here. And he was tied into an F1 racing car and was able to control it with his mind and drive the car around the track, which I don't know about for you, but that sounds amazing to me, right? So, so these are all progressions in at the AI for Good conference, but this is all great examples of how we're pushing science forward with AI and some of the benefits that we're starting to see in an applied sense. So probably a few more years until we get it to the day to day or the mainstream, but huge, huge advancements in AI in science. So that's all I got. Uh, before we wrap up, does anybody have any other stories that they want to cover?
So
I have one.
Cool.
So this is about glasses. And, glasses are, a candidate for being one of the main interfaces with AI. And there are now probably a dozen different, startups and other larger companies that are working with glasses. Meta has relationships with Luxottica, for Ray-Ban, and also with Oakley now. And there was a company that came out earlier this year, long ago, probably in January or so, called Halliday. Not named after me, but I had to buy those glasses because they were named the same as I have as a last name. Okay. So I got an email from them, and I just wanted to read a part of it to you to just illustrate how difficult it is for a startup company to actually conceive, design, prototype, and then put into production a complex product like this. We significantly underestimated the complexity of supply chain management and critical human factors involved in scaling manufacturing operations. And we wish to sincerely apologize for that. And they go on to explain we've completed their hardware design in March, and they did this and that. Our team is deeply frustrated by the process as we work through these manufacturing realities, even more than you are by the delays. We're deeply disappointed in ourselves. This is like falling on your sword, but uh, no clear path at the moment towards an imminent delivery of these holiday glasses, which have a projection directly into your retina of a small display. But if and when I actually get the holiday glasses, I will of course demonstrate them on the show.
Sounds awesome. Yes, we want to see more. Oh, Carl, were you saying something? Sorry. Nope. Okay, cool. Then let me close off with a story I think will generate more insight into the world of foundational AI companies and the world of actually making foundational AIs. And this is a story from Calvin French Owen, who worked for OpenAI specifically on their Codex project. And so he put out a reflections on OpenAI blog, similar to how we heard of reflections on Palantir a few weeks ago. And so he's just kind of discussing his experience in OpenAI. But a couple of the insights that he shared, uh, I found very interesting in terms of how they run and build things. One of those being that the entire organization essentially runs everything on Slack. So very little emails are being sent around in the group or in the company, and most of it is Slack updates, Slack communication, things like that, which kind of denotes some of the other insights. It is OpenAI as an organization seems to run much like pretty much any other startup. It's all about speed and getting things done. Their organization structure, their hierarchical structure is pretty much various teams that are put together, and leadership is highly available and visible. So this is insights into one of the largest companies now with so many users and so much of a war chest and so at the advance of things. The insights that I really drew from his blog was that um, you can run these companies, these huge organizations, in a non-traditional hierarchical structure. And I think anyone who's in the startup realm or into those large enterprise realms will know that there has been a progression for startups to try different hierarchical structures and how to get information out, and people can, you know, how they're more effective and things like that. But I think the general populace of how their image of what a enterprise organization is, um, and how many people are in an enterprise organization and those kinds of things, there's a static image in a lot of people's minds. And this blog goes kind of deeper into how you can structure in an enterprise today. And that was the insights that I drew from it. I'm sure there's plenty of others that people will be commenting on for a while, or and various aspects. But and I'll make sure to share the link after the show in the community. But I think this is one of those interesting pieces that you can use to connect into your larger red string theory, and I certainly will. Okay. So we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We have, of course, additional shows coming up on Thursday and Friday. So thank you, chat, all of our viewers and subscribers. And if you want to continue the discussion, please hop into our Slack community and head over to the dailyaishowcommunity.com to sign up. So tomorrow we're talking about Google's ADK, and that's Agent Development Kit, not Android Development Kit. Friday, we take a dive into applied AI with our Be About It show. And so, again, thank you, everybody. We'll see y'all tomorrow, and aloha.